afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the RotoBaller Radio Fantasy Baseball Preview Series right here at RotoBaller.com and on RotoBaller's YouTube channel. I'm your host, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you as we finalize, right? It's our last one of our preseason ADP series. Guys, head over to RotoBaller.com and check out everything we have there. The main page, the premium package, the expert chats. You know what RotoBaller has for you, whether you're a DFS or season-long player, football, baseball, basketball, MMA, esports, NASCAR, PGA, whatever you're looking for, RotoBaller.com, the place to be. Sign up for that MLB premium package if you haven't already for your last-minute drafts, as we're about 5-6 days away from the start of Major League Baseball season. Then to help guide you throughout the season, waiver wires, trade analysis, all sorts of great content there, as well as your DFS lineups and our lineup optimizer. So sign up now. Use the promotional code ACES. Save yourself a little bit of money just by telling them that Anthony sent you. All right. Guys, we have here on my series taking a look at ADPs of all the positions around the infield, the outfield, starting pitching. So today we're going to take a look at probably my least favorite position, relief pitchers, hunting for saves. And everybody has a different philosophy on saves, right? Some people kind of grab a few guys very late and are willing to work the waiver wire throughout the year. And we know every single season there will be saves available if you have the fab budget for them or the waiver wire priority, whatever it may be. But that being said, we do have to draft some closers as well. Now, in some spots, I'm lucky. In the Ottoneu Fangraphs League, over time, I've built up a great bullpen. I'll arguably the top two closers in the RotoBaller rankings. I walk into the season with Josh Hader and Liam Hendricks. So I feel good about that type of situation. Josh Hader, okay, NFBC, he's currently going at number 59 pitcher overall. Number 1 ranked closer on RotoBaller.com. But listen, there are a few concerns. Like, we got to be a little honest about this when we compare his 2019 to his 2020. The strikeout rate went down about 2 Ks per less per 9 innings. His strikeout percentage went from about 48% of the batters he faced to about 40, which is still, don't get me wrong, I fully get it, an astronomically elite number, yet a decrease. All right? Walk rate really is the number that made me put up some alerts, I guess you should say. When I look at Josh Hader in 2019, he walked about 2.38 batters per 9 innings, about just under 7% of the batters he faced. Then in 2020, that abbreviated season, his walk rate hit almost 4.7 walks per 9 innings, almost 13% of the batters he faced. So just be mindful of that, of Hader. As great as he is, and as great as he was in 2020, it still was not as dominant as 2019 was. His home run per 9 innings did go down from 1.78 to 1.42. His batting average against did go down 2019 to 2020 from 155 to 0.123. Whip increased. Saves were still there. 13 saves. All right. He's a career 44% of the batters he faces he strikes out, and a career 9.5% of the batters he faces walks. Batting average against career-wise a dominant 143. My only other concern with Josh Hader is his history as a multi-inning dominant relief pitcher and the rumors circulating this offseason that Hader was available in a trade. If Milwaukee falls out of it, okay, Josh Hader is their best trade chip. And depending on where he goes, he could go somewhere and close, or if he goes somewhere with an established reliever and his history of multi-inning dominance, somebody could bring in Josh Hader for a playoff push and have him lock down the 7th and 8th inning if they already have that elite level closer in the 9th. And essentially now, Hader in a save and hold league still dominant, but nonetheless could lose a little bit of value in a league that has strictly saves. I'm not avoiding him because of that. Just something to keep in the back of your mind. Now, in 2019, here's something interesting. In 2019, Josh Hader threw his fastball about 84% of the time. He hits about 95 miles an hour. Last season, it dropped down to 68% of the time. And his slider usage increased from 2019's 15% to 32% last year. Okay, so what happens there with that? You see that increased walk rate, maybe a little less strikeouts as well. Going to be interesting to see if he goes back to those 2019 usage percentages in 2021. So Josh Hader, the number one ranked closer on RotoBaller.com. Now, if you don't want to invest in a closer that early, okay, there are obviously other closers late. But one other closer early who I'm still shying away from, and anybody who knows me knows this might be goes against my team, but that's Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets. NFBC has him as pitcher number 76 coming off the board, his current ADP. RotoBaller actually has him as relief pitcher number 3. Now, 2020 on paper was significantly better than his 2019. Strikeout rate went up from 15.4 Ks per 9 to 17.5. That's a 39% of the batters he faced to 46%. So you love he's striking out more batters. His walks per 9 inning, though, did increase from 8.7% of the batters he faced to 12.7. Again, that's an alarming number. You do not want a closer who's putting runners on base. Now, that being said, his big issue in 2019 was the home run per 9 innings. In 2019, when he lost his job, it was an abysmal 2.33 home runs per 9 innings. Last season, it was at 0.7. Literally half of what Josh Hader gave up per 9 innings. Batting average against was dominant last year, 191 compared to 254 in 2019. Did save 6 games in that shortened season. Threw his fastball last year about 61% of the time, hits about 97 miles an hour, and a slider the rest of the time, about 38, 39% of the time. But here's my concern with Edwin Diaz. You know the Met fans are going to be tough. You know the Mets media is going to be tough. And this is a Mets team with very, very high expectations. If he comes out of the gate and struggles, they brought in Trevor May. He's scheduled to be the 8th inning guy. Seth Lugo, who has closed for this team when Edwin Diaz has faltered, coming back from elbow surgery. He'll be back probably sometime in May, late May, maybe Memorial Day weekend. The Mets have options to close if Edwin Diaz falters. He faltered in 2019. He was better in 2020, but he has to develop the ability to shake off a blown save, have the team have confidence in him, and not let the fans rattle him, because the New York fans will turn on Edwin Diaz as soon as he has a bad game or two and costs them a victory. Jake Karinchak of the Cleveland Indians, young pitcher, first real full season, currently going NFBC ADP at 102. RotoBaller has him as relief pitcher number 6. Last season in 2020, he pitched 17 innings. Struck out almost 18 batters per 9, 17.7. Legitimately, almost half the batters he faced. 49% of the batters he faced. Batting average against was 151. Completely unhittable. But again, like these other 3 closers I've mentioned, that walk rate is so astronomically high. 5.3%. 5.3 batters per 9 innings. 14.7%. Now, it doesn't give up the long ball, and that's the key for any relief pitcher who walks batters. You then have to keep the ball in the yard. Okay, over 17 innings, home runs per 9 innings last year was 0.33. Only got 1 save, but he's the guy this year for the Cleveland Indians. Fastball about 50%, curveball about 50% of the time. Okay, fastball hits about 96 miles per hour. Again, we're starting to slide now from, Hader at NFBC ADP of 59 for pitchers. Karinchak is at 102. So he's going about 40 pitchers later. Okay, RotoBaller number 6. Now, nonetheless, any of these 3 relievers are pitchers you're going to have to grab. Okay, that's just the truth of it. Me, personally, I'm only getting one of these guys. I'm not double dipping here in a standard 12-team draft. Not my philosophy. I'll take one, have that little bit of security at the closer position, okay, whether it's any of these 3 or a Liam Hendricks and a Aroldis Chapman, whoever it may be. And then I look for value plays later on. And I'm willing then for those value plays, if they falter, like say a Rafael Montero, to then pivot to him and bring in the next guy who would be Kendall Graveman right now in Seattle. Because the rest of it, I'll be chasing saves. Saves to me are very similar to stolen bases in a 12-team redraft league. I don't need to win the category. I just can't finish last. Put me in the middle of the pack. Then my starting pitching, and the same thing with my offense, let my power hitting win me the league. Stolen bases, the speed, the saves. Just be middle of the pack. Don't finish last. Give me 5, 6 rotisserie points. Now that brings up Jordan Romano, the young pitcher of the Toronto Blue Jays. Kirby Yates, they paid for him big. Okay, he's out for the season now, though, with Tommy John surgery. Right now, Toronto is not committing to a closer, but based on stuff, it should be Romano over time. A 97-mile-an-hour fastball that he throws about 40% of the time, and a curveball, a hammer, that he throws about 60%. Now, over 2019 and 2020, he has thrown a combined 29 innings. So maybe part of the reason Toronto not willing to hand him the reins just yet. Last season, struck out about 37% of the batters he faced. 12.9 batters per 9 innings. Very similar to 2019, where he struck out 12.3. Now, his walk rate last season was tremendously better than 2019. In 2019, Romano walked 5.28 batters per 9 innings. Last season, down to 3.07. That's a decrease from 12% to about 8.8% of the batters he faced. Home runs per 9 innings went down, 2019 to 2.35 to 1.23. Batting average against, this is the biggest decrease, and I love this number for Romano. In 2019, opposing hitters hit 274 against him. Last season, they hit 154. His whip decreased from 1.70 to 0.89. A huge leap in dominant numbers from 2019 to 2020 for Romano. Now the question is, does he have enough innings pitched? Does he have enough trust of the Toronto management to be a full-time closer? We're going to see. We might not see it in April, okay? But he is currently going, all right, NFBC as pitcher number 353. That number is climbing now more and more now since with the Yates injury. RotoBaller has him as relief pitcher 20, and that's my comfort zone now. I've gotten a Chapman. If I don't get Hader, he's going a little too early for me. I've gotten a Hendricks. I've gotten a Chapman, maybe an Edwin Diaz type of closer, and now give me relief pitcher 20. Give me Romano, and let me figure out saves there. Same goes for Daniel Bard of the Colorado Rockies. Now, 35 years old. Remember, he missed from 2013 until last season. He didn't even pitch in the big leagues. Came back last year, a complete and total success story. Has 6 saves for the Rockies and has been anointed the Rockies closer this year. Last season, almost 10 strikeouts per 9 innings, about 25% of the batters he faced. Kept his walk rate relatively okay compared to the other relievers we've mentioned here today at 3.65. Okay, he throws a fastball about 56% of the time, still hits 97 miles an hour, mixes in the slider, mixes in a changeup as well. Opposing hitters hit 237 against him, but he is a classic chasing saves type of pitcher. Even if you get 2 months of saves from him, if something happens, if he goes down, and remember Scott Oberg of the Rockies now, blood clot, his career's in jeopardy, so there's less competition for Bard at the back end of that Rockies rotation. But it's a situation, he gives you some saves early on. If he keeps saving games, he'll keep the job. If he struggles, he's an easy replacement on the waiver wire. NFBC ADP has him as pitcher 294. RotoBaller has him ranked as relief pitcher number 37. He is a chase, saves, closer, if that's what you're looking to do. Opportunities can be tough with the Rockies, but even on a tough situation, there's 20 to 25 saves there, potentially, for Daniel Bard. And finally, my final closer for today, Anthony Bass, now of the Miami Marlins. Remember, he took over last season in Toronto, saved 7 games. In 2019, he saved 5 games. This is a fastball that sits about 95 miles an hour, throws it about a little over half the time, mixes in a slider as well. Now, he's not the strikeout pitcher, anywhere close to the strikeout pitcher the other pitchers I've mentioned are today. It's about 7.4 Ks per 9 innings, only 21% of the batters he faced. But again, his walk rate is lower than just about anybody else. Only 9% of the batters he faces, 3.16 walks per 9 innings. Doesn't give up the long ball, 0.7 home runs per 9 last year, 0.94 home runs per 9 innings 2 seasons ago. Batting average against, he has 2 seasons of dominant batting average against. In 2019, it was 1.75. In 2020, it was 1.87. Whip sits around an even 1 over the last 2 seasons, and the Marlins have already said he is closing. But again, if he struggles, Yimi Garcia is there. You know who the successor is. You make the switch. You make the waiver wire move. You make the fab move while chasing saves with a guy whose current NFBC ADP is as pitcher 322, and RotoBaller has him ranked as relief pitcher 35. So if you wanted to, you could grab that elite guy who's going to give you the 35 saves, the elite K rate, and then you could grab Daniel Bard and Anthony Bass and potentially pick up a combined 40 more saves from them. And now with that elite guy who sits at about 35, a combined 40 or so from these two guys like Bard or Bass or Romano, now you're sitting at about 70 saves, puts you right in the middle of the pack where I think you need to be in order to eventually compete and win your league without overspending on draft day on closers. Okay, so be mindful of that. Don't feel the need to grab 2 elites. I don't need to. I get 1. I get a couple of other guys who could pick me up some saves, and I'm willing to pivot the waiver wire. You know, Rafael Montero, Kendall Graveman, Anthony Bass, Yimi Garcia, whoever it may be. I'm willing to grab a Seth Lugo or Trevor May. If Aroldis Chapman gets hurt for the Yankees when Zach Britton's back, he'll be able to pick up some saves. There are plenty of dominant 8th-inning guys who are either A, ready to take over, or B, you just a short-term fix if there's an injury to keep you afloat in the saves category. All right, everybody, follow me on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy. Head over to RotoBaller.com and check out all the great content there. Like we mentioned, MLB Premium Package. Use that promo code ACES to guide you for the rest of your draft season and throughout the fantasy baseball season as well. And be sure, if you haven't yet, right here on RotoBaller Radio, whether it's on wherever you're listening to your podcasts or on our YouTube channel, check out all the great content from all of us over at RotoBaller.com, including all of my ADP series, as this is the final position we needed to cover. First base, second base, shortstop, third, outfield catchers, and starting pitchers are already there as well. All right, everybody, be smart, be safe, enjoy opening day, and then starting next weekend, look for my waiver wire series each and every weekend. 2 videos a week breaking down hitters and pitchers available on the waiver wire. Have a good one, folks.